Hello, fight fans. Thanks for joining us at MMA Insider. Before we get rolling with today's news, show some love by hitting that like button and subscribing. Now let's uncover the latest happenings in MMA. Starting off, Israel Adesanya believes Michael Chandler should take another fight following UFC 303 cancellation. Moving on, Dana White claims Jon Jones would have run through Francis Ngannou had they fought. Next, Anthony Smith believes Alex Pereira fight is possible with UFC 303 victory. Moving on, Chael Sonnen quickly pivots on Conor McGregor rehab claims. Lastly, Khamzat Chimaevs' team shuts down bullsh rumors that food poisoning forced him out of UFC Saudi Arabia. Israel Adesanya believes Michael Chandler should take another fight following the UFC 303 cancellation. UFC 303 is taking place on Saturday, June 29th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. It was to be Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler in the lightweight main event. All that changed when it was announced by UFC CEO Dana White that Conor McGregor had to pull out of the fight due to injury. In a video posted to X last Thursday, White said, "All right guys, here I am again. McGregor is out of 303 versus Michael Chandler with an injury." During a recent video posted to his YouTube channel, Israel Adesanya reacted to the news and advised Chandler to take another fight in the interim. Here is what he said: "I think that fight's gonna happen regardless. Chandler should just take a fight in the meantime. And that's even better for him, win or lose, because he'll still get more reps. Take a fight regardless. That Conor fight's always gonna be there because they both faced each other on Tough Beef, but just take another fight, I think." Chandler, 38, has not fought since November of 2022 when he was defeated by Dustin at UFC 281. As for Israel Adesanya, he's preparing for a main event middleweight title fight with current champion Dricus du Plessis this coming August at UFC 305 in Perth, Australia. Do you agree with Israel Adesanya that Chandler should get back in the octagon and not wait around for the Irishman? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Dana White doesn't think Francis Ngannou versus Jon Jones would have been all that competitive had they fought. Jones versus Ngannou would have been one of the biggest fights of all time, but the bout unfortunately never came to fruition. Instead, Ngannou went to free agency so he could box. And once he left, Jones finally moved up to heavyweight and quickly submitted Cyril Gane to become the new champ. After Jon Jones ran through Cyril Gane, many fans wanted to see the fight with Francis Ngannou happen. However, it seems unlikely it ever will. But according to White, he doesn't think the fight would have been very competitive. Here is what he said: "He went through Cyril Gane like that, easily. In my opinion, he does the same thing to Francis. 100%, he does the same thing to Francis. Francis didn't want to fight Jon Jones. Jon Jones is the scariest, most badass fighter of all time. Jon Jones has his issues outside of the octagon, which actually makes it more impressive if you think about the lifestyle that he was living, and doing this to the best fighters in the world. Jon Jones is one of those guys that won't truly be appreciated until he's gone. But I'm telling you right now, when you talk about who the baddest man on the planet is, two guys get locked in a room. Who is walking out? It's Jon Jones all day, every time." It is an interesting comment from Dana White, but it shouldn't be a surprise that he is backing Jon Jones in the hypothetical fight. Francis Ngannou is no longer a UFC fighter, and the two sides did not end on good terms, so White backing his current champion isn't shocking. But for many fans, Jones versus Ngannou is still one of the biggest what-if fights ever, and a scrap many hope can still happen one day. Anthony Smith believes that he's just a good win and call out away from facing UFC light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira. Smith and Pereira were recently added to UFC 303 on June 29th. Due to the collapse of Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, Alex Pereira will headline the card in a rematch against Yuri Prohaska. The event's co-main event has been changed as well. Due to an injury to Jamal Hill, Carlos Ulberg has been slotted down the card in a new bout against Anthony Smith. For Smith, the short notice fight is a massive opportunity for him. Anthony Smith is fresh off a submission victory over Petrino at UFC 301 in Brazil in May. That victory gave the 35-year-old a new lease on life at light heavyweight. Prior to that win, he had suffered losses in 3 of his 4 most recent contests. Anthony Smith believes that the timing of his return at UFC 303 is perfect as well. Speaking in a recent podcast with Michael Bisping, the light heavyweight discussed his bout with Carlos Ulberg. Goldberg. There, Smith stated that he wasn't looking past Carlos. However, he does believe that the fight could perfectly lead to a bout with Alex Pereira. A fight between Anthony Smith and Alex Pereira has been discussed for a while now. Since Pereira has been at 205 pounds, the longtime contender has felt confident that he can submit the Brazilian. Smith believes that with a win over Carlos Goldberg, he may finally be able to show that he's correct. Here is what he said. He's a tall task. He's really good at what he does. He's young, he's hungry, and he's got a big opportunity in front of him. I've got to remember, when these guys fight me, I'm their world title fight. They're trying to make a name off of me, and I got to make sure that doesn't happen. But if I cut a promo on Alex Pereira, that lines up. Chael Sonnen has opened up on his viral claim that UFC superstar Conor McGregor's withdrawal from UFC 303 was due to substance abuse. During a recent episode of his Beyond the Fight podcast, Sonnen clarified his stance on McGregor's UFC 303 withdrawal. I do not know that Conor McGregor is in rehab, for one. For two, I wouldn't begrudge or tease Conor in the least if he was in rehab. I would be very proud of Conor, and I would imagine for somebody in his spot to go into rehab is something you want to keep quiet. To do that in Ireland, I would imagine that he would have needed to humble himself greatly. Conor was at the Black Forge and he's shown drinking in photos. If someone is overseeing his rehab, they'd catch that and say, hey, you gotta get out. I think it was alcohol in his drink. He didn't want a mistake to be made. He partied it up and made some bad decisions. A member of Khamzat Chimaevs' team has shut down rumors that food poisoning forced him out of UFC Saudi Arabia. As we now know, Khamzat Chimaev will no longer be facing Robert Whittaker this weekend. They were set to battle it out in a fascinating collision in Saudi Arabia, but unfortunately, it's not happening. That's because Khamzat came down with an illness that has forced him out of the contest, leaving many to wonder what the future holds for him. While Robert Whittaker has a new opponent, Khamzat is in a position that he's been in a few times before. For whatever reason, he continues to pick up these illnesses, leading to him fighting pretty infrequently. In recent days, rumors have suggested that it was food poisoning that led to his downfall this time around. However, as per Chimaev's team, that wasn't the case. All these fake rumors about Khamzat Chimaev pulling out due to food poisoning is absolutely I was party of the camp and behind the scenes. As a brother, I won't share his dark times, but trust me when I say he was very sick and hospitalized. The guy's a beast, and to see him so bad wasn't a good time for us all, praying for his recovery and comeback. Unfortunately, God had other plans, and nobody could have anticipated or foreseen this. The last weeks were tough, and he tried every solution, but last week got so bad that it was impossible to fight. He'll be back, but for now, rest and recovery is needed. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Your dedication and support fuel our passion to bring you the latest and greatest in the MMA world. If you enjoyed today's news, please give us a thumbs up and share it with fellow MMA fans. Remember to subscribe to stay in the loop with daily MMA updates. We've got a lot of exciting news, interviews, and analysis coming your way every single day. Your engagement helps us grow and serve the MMA community even better. Once again, thank you for being an integral part of our daily MMA journey.